So we have yesterday on our forum, 30bananasaday.com, someone asked about Stanley Bass. Harley, Stanley Bass says a fruit-based raw food lifestyle is extremely dangerous. Please share your opinion. What's the deal? Get us up to speed, Harley. What's the deal? I've never met Stanley Bass. He was a nice guy. I hunted around yesterday amongst my peer group in Adelaide. I've come up with a little booklet by Stanley Bass, Ideal Health Through Sequential Eating. Because I was curious what Stanley promotes and what he recommends, and I just found a book which is pretty cool. So basically, Stanley starts the little booklet with a history of his fruitarian teaching. He was trying to be a fruitarian according to the teachings of Arnold Ehret. For 2 years, I'd been living on mostly fruit, and once he did 70 days of just fruit juice. And then he met Dr. Curcio, who said that you shouldn't, just eat fruit alone. And that was it. That was the end of Stanley's, fruit-based quest. So he did mostly fruit for a few years following Arnold Ehret. And trying to do this back in the 60s or the 30s or whenever it was, you got no idea about calories, and everyone thinks you're a nut job. And so I went on to Stanley Bass's website, and Stanley's done over 1,000 personal fasts. 1,000 personal fasts. I'm trying to think, if you're fasted over 1,000 times, you're either a crackpot, you got some real health issues, or one of those two. 1,000 times fasting. I'm thinking this relationship with food is a bit disordered there. That's just my opinion. So we get to what does Stanley recommend? This is a 100% raw food program from Stanley Bass. If you wanted to eat a 100% raw diet, this is what you should be eating. This is the meal plan. Breakfast, an 8-ounce vegetable juice. That's 50 calories. Plus a blended salad of tomato, romaine, cucumber, celery. And it's about 8 ounces. Another 50 calories. And here's your fruit selection. You can have an 1/8 of a melon. Doesn't say how the melon is this big, or it could be that big. Again, subjective guidelines. Or we can have 2 to 4 bananas. So that's 200 to 400 calories. So for breakfast, we've got, let's say you have the maximum limit of allowed 4 bananas. That's 400 calories plus your juice and your salad. So that's extra 100 calories. So we've got 500 calories for breakfast, which is sweet FA. And then for lunch, you are allowed to have another 8-ounce juice at 50 calories, another blended salad of 8 ounce, 50 calories, and you can have 1 piece of fruit or 1 to 2 corns. So that's about another 100 calories. And you can have an ounce or 2 of nuts and seeds. That's about, let's say, 300 calories maximum there. And for dinner, you're allowed to have the same. And Stanley's added, if you're really physical, you're allowed to have an extra, if you're really physical, you're allowed to have an extra ounce of nuts. That's an extra 150 calories if you're a physical worker. An extra 150 calories. So no wonder when people go on these anorexic, calorie restriction, insufficient caloric content diets, and they go, I paid the guru, man, like Stanley Bass, he's like so experienced, and I did the program, the raw food, and that's what Stanley said I should do, and it failed, man. So the raw vegan program, the raw food program, nah, it's not natural, it's not normal. I'll tell you what's not normal, man, is undereating at such a hardcore rate. How many calories have we got there? So the maximum you're allowed to eat is 1,500 calories a day if you're a physical worker. 1,500 calories a day. That's enough for an 8-year-old girl as a minimum. A minimum for an 8-year-old girl would be about 1,500 calories a day. Look it up. So we're trying to get grown adults, people who want to lose weight, and you're going to lose a lot of weight. You're going to fucking starve yourself. You're going to fucking drop a lot of weight because you're starving. And then when you get hungry, you're going to binge. And then what happens when you ring up your person and go, I'm binging again. What's going on? Oh, that's your emotions. You're emotionally eating. No, how about eat a fucking enough calories, man, so you don't want to eat the shit. It's nothing to do with emotions. When you try and live on 1,500 calories a day or even 2,000 a day, that's not enough food. You're going to be like, you do it for a little bit and then boom, crash, binge, stress eating, whatever people want to call it. It's not, man. It's because you're freaking hungry. So 1,500 calories a day, no wonder people fail when they take Stanley Bass's advice, because you can't freaking live on that. 1,500 calories a day, that's good for breakfast. That's what I recommend people eat for breakfast as a minimum. For one meal, eat brekkie, 1,500 calories plus. You know, I often have 3,000 calories for breakfast. So I'm eating 2 days worth of food on the typical Stanley Bass raw food regime for a person for 2 days. I'm eating that in one meal for breakfast. And I'm a small guy. So imagine if you were like trying to build muscle and get big and strong and, you know, get into bodybuilding, or if you're a full-on physical labourer or whatever, and you're trying to eat 1,500 calories a day, or you're really overweight and you want to have enough energy for your kids, for your job, for your passions, for your life purpose, and you're trying to eat 1,500 calories a day, and you're wondering why you're an absolute emotional wreck, why you feel like a space cadet and all airy-fairy. That's what happens to people. Oh, I tried raw foods and I felt like it was spacey and I had to have some, you know, grounding foods. You just need more calories, man, because when you eat like a breatharian, you get all spacey and flighty and, you know, you get all out there. So when you eat, you know, 1,500 calories a day, you become a space cadet, a little space cadet, you know, passive or aggressive, or just, you know, up and down, yo-yoing all the time. You know, yo-yoing with your emotions, yo-yoing with your food, yo-yoing with your exercise or whatever. 1,500 calories a day that's Stanley Bass's maximum allowance if you're a physical worker. You should be eating less if you're not physical. And I'm thinking, what the fuck? We're prescribing caloric intake recommendations for 8-year-old girls to grown adults. So whenever someone says, Stanley Bass says a raw vegan lifestyle doesn't work, it doesn't fucking work if you're on 1,500 calories a day. It doesn't work if you're eating maximum 4 bananas a day. People say, well, you can't eat more fruit than that, Harley, because Stanley Bass did a study on rats and mice. And I'm like, how about get the rats and mice out of the cage, stop the animal testing, let them go, do the freaking testing on humans, look up the raw food athletes and go, what are you guys doing? What are you girls doing? You're looking great. You got blood tests are excellent. Your performance is like elite, world class, state level, national, whatever. You guys are doing really good. What are you doing? So how about we let go of the freaking mouses and rats and we look at humans? How about that? You know what I mean? I put my hand up to be tested, but how come none of these crews want to test? I send them a blood test and they pretend they didn't even get them. And I get emails from their secretaries, or Dr. Such and Such recommends you change your diet. You know what I mean? It's like, come on. It's hard to convince someone it's hard to inform someone of something when their income depends on them not understanding that. Does that make sense? It's hard to teach someone something when their income, when their salary, when their status depends on them not understanding it. You can't live on fruits and vegetables, and, you know, you can't do that. You can't be a vegan, because my whole clientele base, I mean, makes money on not being vegans or into raw foods and fruits and vegetables and healthy eating and being physically active. And, you know, it's like going to a gym. But, you know, I used to work in the gym as a spin instructor, so people would drive their cars to come and sit on a stationary bike, and I would run them through a program. And after a while, I would tell the people, said, you don't have to come here, you know, like, come here if you want to socialise and meet people and stuff like that. But you've got a lot of people who've got families and stuff. Go hang out with your families. Go ride the bike with the kids on the weekend with your families, or ride your bike to work. You know what I mean? Or ride your bike to the gym, say hello, and then go. Ride your bike around instead of driving your car to the gym to sit on a bike and pedal and get your workout. Just ride your bike to and from work, ride your bike with your kids. You know what I mean? I thought that's pretty common sense, but my boss didn't like that. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right, because your money depends on you saying not the truth or just saying other things. You know what I mean? So we've got to understand the raw food scene. There's a lot of people making a lot of money, telling people absolute rubbish, lying to them, or just telling the half truth, or just assuming that they don't want to know. You know what I mean? I don't like to make assumptions. You know, I like to tell people information. Definitely tell people information and let them decide what they want to do with it, versus going, that person's not ready to hear that yet. Bullshit. Just tell them, and then they can do what they want with it, versus going, well, I don't think you're ready for it yet. Nah, man. Tell them. Be honest, be upfront, be transparent, give them the information, let them decide, versus going, oh, you probably couldn't do it. Just tell them what you do. You know what I mean? Share with what works. I like to show people, you know, that's That's where it is over there. That's the shortest way there. If you want it, there it is. I'm not going to say people, oh, you got to go around here, you go over there. I'm going to say that's over there. You might not want it now, whatever. Dude, it's over there. Next. You know what I mean? So that's the bottom line. It's the program. Calorie restriction, 1,500 calories a day maximum for your physical worker. 100% guaranteed to fail. Guaranteed to fail. So no wonder when people say, but Stanley Bass. And if they're following their advice, guaranteed to fail. It's just like following, you know, Victorious Kulvinskas or all these people who are maybe nice people deep down, for sure. I'm not saying they're bad people, but their guidelines of their food, they wouldn't have a freaking clue about calories. You ask them, how many calories a day should we get? Oh, calories don't matter. Like, you know, it's... but when you're paying them, they know exactly how much fucking money they're getting. And if you just give them like a bag of money, go, oh, this doesn't matter, numbers, you know, it's all energy changing hands. Just here's a bag of money, you know, just a bit of coins. They're not going to go, oh, that's great, just, you know, feel it. Can you feel the love, man? They're going to go, hey, how much money is here? Oh, there's not enough here. When it comes to calories, they're like, just feel it, you know, like it doesn't really matter. So bottom line, you know what I mean? When you read a book, look for caloric content. And if it's any anorexic sort of recommendations, get it and chuck it in the recycling bin. Or cross it out, write something in there, and drop it back at the bookshop. Because we've got to get the truth out there. We've got to get the message out there. You know, food, eat more of it. Eat more to live more. Anyone saying should eat less, calorie restrict, being anorexic, orthorexic, breatharian, fast 1 day a week, doesn't know the full story. Doesn't mean they're bad people, but they're just on the bad path, going downhill. You know, I've had 2 friends die from this sort of mentality of, you know, you got to be all spiritual and light and fucking anorexic and bullshit. And it's bullshit, man. No one in the raw food scene is really talking much up about this. It's all this like, should eat less, and if you feel your emotions, just like eat less. It's like rubbish. That'll be my next video. Is it true you can emotionally eat?